All right, let's talk Kubernetes. If you've ever felt like you're drowning in a sea of YAML files, trust me, you are not alone. It's a common headache. But today, we're going to throw you a lifeline. We're diving into two super powerful tools designed to bring order to all that chaos: Helm and Kustomize. We'll break them down, see how they're different, and by the end, you'll know exactly which one is right for you.
This quote from Kelsey Hightower, it just nails it, right? Kubernetes is all about taking the best stuff we've learned in DevOps and just making it the default. It's brilliant. But, and this is a big but, even the best defaults can get, well, tricky when things start to scale up.
And that's where the rubber meets the road. The default, well, it often turns into this massive mountain of YAML files. You know the drill, right? You're copy-pasting configs, changing one little value for staging and another for production, and just kind of crossing your fingers you don't make a typo that tanks everything. That pain point? That's exactly the problem Helm and Kustomize were designed to fix.
Okay, so here's the plan for this explainer. First, we're going to dig into why raw YAML can be so tough. Then, we'll meet our two main players, Helm and Kustomize. We'll look at their totally different approaches, and then we'll figure out how you can make the right choice for what you're working on. Okay, Section 1, the Kubernetes Config Challenge. So let's start with the why. Why does managing config files sometimes feel like such a chore in Kubernetes? Let's get into it.
I mean, you know how it is. These YAML files are just a lot. They're long, they're wordy, and you end up repeating yourself constantly. Think about it. You've got a staging environment and a production environment. Staging needs one replica, prod needs 10. So what do? You probably have two separate files that are 99% identical except for that one replicas line. And then what happens when you need to update the container image? You have to remember to change it in both files. That's how you get configuration drift, and that is a recipe for disaster.
So how do we fix this mess? Well, let's bring in our first solution, Helm. Think of it as a package manager for Kubernetes. If you've ever used something like npm or apt, the idea is going to feel super familiar. It's kind of like a fill-in-the-blanks approach, and honestly, it's a total game changer for a lot of teams. So at its core, what is Helm? It's really just a popular way to bundle up all your Kubernetes stuff, your deployments, services, all of it into one neat, tidy package. It makes configuring and deploying applications a whole lot simpler.
And the central concept in the Helm world is the Helm chart. A chart is basically a package that has everything you need to run an application in Kubernetes. It's got all the resource definitions, any dependencies, and all the settings you can configure. It's the whole shebang in one place.
So how does it actually work? This is the key part. Helm uses a templating language, basically turning your static YAML into a template with placeholders. And then you have a separate file called values.yaml. That's where you define all the specifics, like the number of replicas or the image tag. When you run Helm, it just smashes those two together and spits out the final Kubernetes manifest. It totally abstracts away the raw YAML.
And Helm is way more than just a templating tool. It manages the entire lifecycle of your application. You can create your own chart or, more often, find one someone else already made. Then you deploy it, which creates what's called a release. Need to make a change? You just upgrade the release. And this is huge. If that upgrade breaks something, you can instantly roll back to the last good version. And when you're done, you just uninstall it, and it cleans everything up. It's the whole package.
All right, so that's Helm. It's this powerful package manager that's all about templates. But what if you don't like templating languages? What if you'd rather just stick with plain standard YAML? Well, that's where our second tool, Kustomize, enters the picture. It has a totally different philosophy, the overlay approach. The big selling point for Kustomize is that it's template-free. There's no new syntax to learn. You are working with pure, plain Kubernetes manifests. It lets you customize your configurations, but crucially, without ever having to change your original files. The way it works is you start with a base. This is your standard vanilla YAML config. It's the version of your app that isn't specific to any one environment. Think of it as your single source of truth. And then, on top of that base, you apply overlays or patches. These are small snippets of YAML that modify the base for a specific environment. So you might have an overlay for staging that adds a specific label, and another overlay for production that changes the number of replicas. The base itself never changes. And when it's time to deploy, you just run one command, Kustomize build. You tell it which overlay to use, staging, production, whatever, and it magically combines the base and that overlay to create the final manifest file. Then you just apply that final file to your cluster. It's super clean.
Okay, so we've seen Helm and we've seen Kustomize. Now for the fun part, the showdown. We're talking template versus patch, two totally different philosophies for solving the exact same problem.
So let's break it down. Helm is a full-blown package manager. It uses Go templating, and you define all your variables in that values.yaml file. It really abstracts the YAML away from you, which makes it awesome for distributing off-the-shelf applications. On the other hand, Kustomize is a configuration customizer. It's template-free, right? It uses plain YAML, and those overlays just patch the base config. It keeps you much closer to the raw YAML, which is great for managing those little environment-specific tweaks for your own projects.
So, which one should you pick? This is the big question, right? And honestly, it's not about which tool is better. It's about which tool fits your workflow and your specific needs. Let's make it really simple. You should probably use Helm when you need to share and distribute reusable applications. If you want a full package manager with versioning and rollbacks, and you're cool with abstracting away the YAML, Helm is your friend. But you should probably use Kustomize when you want to work directly with standard Kubernetes manifests. If your main goal is just managing those little differences between staging and prod, and you really don't want to learn a whole new templating language, then Kustomize is going to be a perfect fit.
So to wrap this all up, it really comes down to one question you should ask yourself for your next project. Is this a distributable package I'm building, or is it a custom-fit deployment? Your answer to that question is going to point you straight to the right tool for the job. And with the right tool in hand, you'll be well on your way to taming that YAML beast. Thanks for joining us.